Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports and tips for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, and then we talk spring fishing opportunities with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Kyle Sorensen. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
At Hayward Power Sports, we know it's fun to roam the boat shows. But remember, we have awesome deals every day, and we'll be here long after the shows. As the 2026 continue to roll in, we're making insane deals on our remaining 2025 models. Save nearly $13,000 on a 2025 Lund 1775 Impact XS. Or how about $20,000 in savings on a remaining 22-foot Bennington pontoon? Hayward Power Sports has a huge selection of new Lund and Tracker fishing boats. Plus, we have our largest selection ever of pontoons in stock with gorgeous Benningtons and the #1 selling pontoons in the world, Sun Tracker. Hayward Power Sports also carries every major outboard with Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Mercury with the best warranty offers of the year going on now. And while the boat shows find you the best financing for the dealer, we work with our banks to get the best financing for you. Our boat show is continuous, so come see us today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77 or at haywardpowersports.com.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake-down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're recording this week down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. Got Jarrett in here and a lot of new remodeling going on in here.
Absolutely. We got a whole bunch of stuff going up. Still gonna have a lot to come in yet, too.
Looking better all the time. It looks like you got the greatest selection of stuff I've seen anywhere in any smaller shop. And this is unbelievable.
We sure hope so. We can't wait to hear from everybody that stops in, too.
Well, it finally looks like we're turning the weather towards spring. I don't see any real nasty stuff in the long-term forecast, do you?
Knock on wood, no, I do not.
And how's the ice doing out there? There's still good ice out in the middle of the lake, but it's starting to show signs of wear.
It really is, right around the shoreline. That first, 25, 30 feet, she's really getting kind of crummy out there. So if you're doing some late-season ice fishing, make sure you're careful getting onto the ice out there.
What have they been catching out there? I know the crappies and bluegills. I've heard pretty good reports on them.
Yeah, crappies and bluegills for sure. Usually this time of year we get some guys that start to get into some perch out there too, but panfish mostly.
You getting them right up underneath the ice as far as the bluegills, or are they still finding them deeper? In other words, is there good oxygen out there, or did it kind of start to go down?
There's a little bit of both, but usually when you start getting that influx of warm water, a lot of those fish will start to move up the water columns and move into the shallowers out there. So that's why a lot of guys do really well and kind of end the season in shallow, right near shore.
Well, we got the steelhead season here, too. That's you hearing much from people going to want to go up for that?
Oh, I've got a lot of people that are chomping at the bit to get out there. I think a lot of people are just ready to get outside, enjoy putting a rod back in their hand and taking a couple casts.
It's not that difficult. You don't need to fish them with a fly rod, but a longer rod does help.
Yeah, it really does, especially with control on the fish and working those heavier currents out there, too.
You can keep the line up out of the water, and that's the biggest thing that'll drag you is that line gets in the water and it pulls your bait like crazy.
It does. It absolutely does.
As far as baits and lures up there, what do people look at? I know people use a lot of spawn sacks, but there's other stuff.
Spawn sack, they use spinners, you use jigs. There's a whole bunch of different items that you could use up there, but spawn sacks probably be the most prevalent that we see go through the shop.
There's other people around here, too, that also head for other places. I mean, a lot of guys head over to that Fox River. You hear anything from people wanting to go over there? Haven't
heard much catching yet. We know the water's a little high that's over there. We've had so much runoff. But, the fish will be going over there either way.
And Mississippi River, too. And I just talked to one of the guys up here who was going to go down there. And that water's still running pretty clear and normal right now. It hasn't kind of come up to that spring high and muddy.
Yep, and I saw a couple of pictures over the weekend. It looked like guys are definitely catching some fish down there.
Yeah, and that's a good fishery, too. I mean, people think about it for walleyes, but there's some nice northerns in there. There's some great perch in there in some places, especially down toward La Crosse area. And some big bluegills and even crappies in there.
Absolutely. You said crappie. That's a magic word.
I know. Crappies with you. That's a magic word. We're starting to see a few lakes that have some bigger crappies. The big thing with the crappies, though, is we really need to get people to start thinking about not keeping the fish over 12 inches.
Absolutely. It's one of the rules in my boat when I'm taking people out or if I'm going out fishing myself. If it's 12 inches or up, that fish is going back in the water. I can understand every once in a while if someone wants to put a fish on the wall and keep a trophy or something like that. But when you're constantly cleaning out that upper echelon size of crappies and bluegills for that matter, too, you're really hurting that population of fish.
That 12-inch crappie is probably around 12 years old up here. And usually when you start seeing the size structure going down in a panfish lake, it's usually, a lot of people think, it's stunted. Usually it's a pressure thing. People are just taking all the big fish out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the DNR's been working to try and fix some of that with some of the regulation changes that have been happening, taking a lot of those 25 limit fish lakes and bumping them up to 10 or, doing that 15 per species or even, we got a couple of good lakes that are doing 5 per species or even putting a slot on those crappies. But, yeah, it's all about preserving the fishery, getting some bigger fish back in those lakes and making it good so everybody can go out and catch big crappie.
There's quite a few lakes. I think you're ultimately going to wind up with a 5-bag limit, but we're already starting on that. We're seeing it, and I know one lake, I think it's made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely, and if you're out on the lake every day, you don't need to go keep 25. And if you're up here for a vacation, usually it's not just you in the boat. It's you and the spouse or your kids or what have you. So you come off the lake with a handful of 10 to 11 inches, those are some really nice fillets.
Over in Minnesota, they are 5-bag limit. A lot of times, though, it's on the bluegills because they want to see those 9-inch and better bluegills back in the lake because they kind of dictate the size structure. So we're not seeing that on bluegills over here much the way our crappies. Over there, it's mostly the 5 is on not the crappies so much as it is the bluegills.
Yeah, and I hope that the bluegills are quick to follow the regulation changes that we have for the crappies because it's a big difference when you're out there fishing when you hook into an 8-incher versus a 9.5, 9 3/4. It almost feels like you're fighting a bass until you get that boat side and can see what you've actually got on there. But, those big panfish, those are a lot of fun. And, there were times, before I was around that that's all you caught around here. Some of those big bluegills that this area was known for, some of the big crappies, and we're trying to get back to that.
You mentioned bass. Now, that's one thing you kind of overlooked here talking. The bass catch and release season is open, so if you can get out there on, some of the first places we're able to get out on some of the rivers. And there are rivers up here are places where you can actually get a boat in, and the smallmouth bass fishing should be pretty good in the rivers early.
Absolutely. It'll be kind of slow going, running some jerk baits. And as soon as that ice opens up on the water, that bass bite that we get right away on the lakes around here could be pretty good too. But, yeah, definitely an option for guys that have lost the urge to get on the ice.
Yeah, you said slow going, and it should be slow going in your presentations too, because if you're not catching them, slow down more. With jerk baits, I've seen fish hit in 5 to 10 second pauses between jerks, so you want to slow. If you're using like a Ned rig or something, drag it, stop it, leave it sit there, eat a sandwich or something, and then move it a little bit. But I mean, it's almost that bad. I mean, these fish, one of the guys up in Lake Superior said it's really boring a lot of times because you're just not doing much.
Yeah, I know. Yep. That slow go is really, really important in the cold water. So slow her down.
And down here at the shop, you guys, like I mentioned, you guys are getting everything ready. I mean, we're going to have the conservation hearings coming up. We should mention that in April here for the second Monday, I believe. I'll have that on the show. But you got a lot of stuff coming in yet, or you pretty much got everything here? You just got to get it organized and up.
A little bit of both. We've got a lot of stuff in-house that needs to go, but we still have a lot of stuff that needs to come in yet. So selection is king, and we're here for it.
If you don't have it here, you can get it for them usually?
Absolutely. Whatever you need.
Yeah, well, Jarrett, I want to thank you greatly for taking the time here. And if anybody's wanting to talk fishing, or make sure you get your licenses because they expired as of the end of the month, right?
Yep, absolutely. Come on down. We'll give you a hand.
Thanks, Jarrett.
Thanks, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking spring fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Kyle Sorensen. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop for the Hayward area's largest selection of rods, reels, lures, fishing electronics, boating supplies, and much more. Whether you fish for bass, walleyes, panfish, or muskies, gear up for the upcoming fishing season. And if you're getting ready for the spring turkey season too, they also have just about everything you'll need for a successful season. In the bottle shop, you'll find a full selection of beer and liquor. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
After a great riding season, Hayward Powersports wants to make sure you're ready for next year with Ski-Doo Spring Fever. Order your new Ski-Doo sled by March 31st and choose a 4-year limited warranty or financing as low as 4.99% or up to $2,000 in trading credit or $1,000 in accessories and apparel. Plus, your Spring Fever order is the only way to get locked in on the ever-popular X or XRS package. Order new Ski-Doo snowmobile today at Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Offer ends March 31st, 2026. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
In the Northwoods, a lake property is more than just a cabin. It's where memories are made. If you're buying lakefront property, you want someone who understands what makes each lake special. And if you're selling, your property deserves more than just a sign in the yard. It deserves its story told. I'm Megz Steinmetz with Real Estate by Megz, a national 30 under 30 realtor, lifelong angler, and a Northwoods lake specialist. Because no two lakes are the same, and neither are the properties. Find me online or on social media, Real Estate by Megz. That's Megz with a Z.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show was brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, one of the guys that get on here quite often is fishing guide Kyle Sorensen. I had a chance to talk to Kyle the other day on the phone about some of the early spring fishing opportunities that we'll be having coming up this year. We're talking to Hayward Area Fishing Guide Kyle Sorensen. And Kyle, good to have you on. We're looking toward spring here.
Yeah, thanks for getting me back on. I know you're excited as I am to get back on the water here.
Yeah, lots of things to do, though, too. We got to get all our gear ready, and people should start thinking about that now because, opportunities are out there right now if you want to, look for them in open water.
Yeah, I'm actually in the shop today getting bearings serviced on the trailer and new tires on the trailer and making sure all my graphs are working and map chips and all the, retying lines. And there's so much to do to get ready, but it's getting close.
You bet. Well, let's talk about that opportunities. I mean, we don't, we're looking at ice here yet, and we're probably going to have ice for a while yet, but hopefully that might come out early and we could get out toward the middle of next month or something, maybe. I don't know. But we've got rivers open here. I mean, we can get on there. Catch and release is open for bass fishing year round up here. And then there's some trips that we can make that aren't that far away with polo boat too.
Yeah, I mean, we got another probably 3-4 weeks of ice, but as soon as that goes, catch and release bass in the lakes is obviously an opportunity. As far as rivers go, the catch and release trout season is going on the inland streams. Catch and release bass fishing on the rivers, obviously. Or something I'm going to be doing here shortly as soon as I get this boat ready is going down to the Mississippi for some perch and walleyes.
Yeah, the Mississippi is actually a pretty fantastic fishery. The one thing you got to be aware of down there in the spring is if you get a big snowpack and a fast melt, that water level can get kind of quick down there, real fast current.
Yeah, it definitely it changes quick. It's such a big system. But whether you're fishing in, high dirty water using half ounce or 3/4 ounce baits or it's low and clear like it is now, and you're able to fish lighter stuff, it's always good. There's a ton of fish in there and you never know what you're going to hook into on the big river.
Oh yeah. Walleye fishing is actually pretty doggone good down there too this time of year.
Yeah. There's some real big fish up in Pool 2 being caught. That's, I know, a catch and release only fishery, but you get down into Pool 4, Pool 5, you can keep some fish, and you got a chance at sauger. And I saw a buddy of mine just accidentally snagged a paddlefish down there by the Red Wing Dam the other day.
Kind of interesting, too, when you're talking walleye, you got sauger down there, which is something we don't have up north up here. But the two fish look alike, kind of, but they'll be in totally different places on the river. The walleyes tend to want to be out of the current a little bit, and the sauger will stay out in the current, it seems like.
Yeah, I definitely catch more. If I'm trying to catch sauger, I tend to go a little deeper, and like you say, heavier current, maybe off the ends of the wing dams compared to the walleyes being a little shallower and more packed up hiding. But yeah, you got a shot at both of them, and it is, I guess, important to distinguish between the two. It can be kind of tough to tell, but we've all got phones now. We can look up pictures and compare and whatnot.
I know when you're talking fishing down there, a lot of people want to run right up to the base of the dam, and that tends to congregate more people than anything else. And if you do that, you can find some pretty good fishing sometimes up there. You get off the current line, off the edge of the current a little bit, you'll find the walleyes, it seems like. But, there's a lot of other places that people kind of neglect. And one of them you mentioned was wing dams. I mean, there's a ton of wing dams down there, and those fish will stage on them wing dams big time.
Yeah, and that may be something that not a lot of people even know what they are. They're these rock dams that come from the shoreline out to the main channel, and they're used to move the flow of the water to keep that main channel nice and deep. And it's just a perfect structure for fish to either push bait fish up against, or to hide from the current, or even just using the rocks as structure for where the bait fish will be.
Yeah, and basically should add that they're submerged too. Usually they're underwater, and sometimes not too far underwater, but you can actually pretty well see them when you're going down. When you got a current, you can watch the current swirl around them a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely something you can see with your eyes, and it is something to be mindful of. I have seen a few people hit them. It's definitely something I would recommend to people if you're going to the Mississippi for the first time. Fish it in the daylight before you try to fish it at night. I know night fishing is a pretty popular thing down there, but it's a good thing to get your eyes on it and get a safe track marked on your graph before you start running around in the dark out there.
What's your favorite type of presentation? Jig and a minnow down there or what?
I do enjoy the jig and a minnow, especially if it's cold front, but my number one favorite is a 3/8 ounce or maybe even a 1/2 ounce black hair jig. And I tie those myself, and usually tie in a little stinger hook, little treble hook in the back for when they're biting a little short. But I really love fishing hair jigs on the river.
Yeah, well, that's real. You're talking a round head jig, or are you using any other type of jig?
It can be a round head, but I usually use this. It's kind of a teardrop shape. I forget the name of them. I mold them myself. But kind of a teardrop compared to a round head.
Yeah, I know fishing, when we were fishing in the current out there years ago, we used to use a lot of what they call the Erie head, which is more of it's got a stand-up type jig, but it's angled in the front, which the current hits it and it kind of forces it, almost holds it down some.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely a popular thing down there among the people that have an idea what's going on.
I know there's a lot of different species of fish in there, and it's actually a pretty good fishery, but, it's a water that you need to take time to learn a little bit because it's very complex water. There's backwaters, there's, current areas, just so much going on down there.
Yeah, and it's just a fun place to explore, and it's cool that it's open and it's somewhere you can get your boat in nice and early while our lakes are still froze. And it's, from the Hayward area here, it's not a far drive.
Oh, it's even closer if you go over to the St. Croix and over in that way toward Hudson and over that way. Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk I had with fishing guide Kyle Sorensen. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Care for the animals with help from Hayward Feed and Seed. They offer deer corn, mineral blacks, and their famous Big Buck blend. They can also satisfy the hunger of the other animals in your life with a massive variety of dog and cat foods, along with other pet foods and large animal feeds. Plus, they have an awesome assortment of cat and dog toys, along with heated water bowls and plenty of warm, cozy bedding for all the animals in your life. Open at 8 a.m. Monday through Saturday. See the experts at Hayward Feed and Seed. Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk I had with fishing guide Kyle Sorensen. Well, and if you're trying to concentrate on waters that are closer to home here, we've got a lot of rivers, the whole Chippewa River, for instance. There's places you can get a small boat in on that, and the Flambeau River. And, you can't fish walleyes in them up here, but you can go out and you can have a ball fishing other species like smallmouth bass, for instance. They'll hit in this cold water pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the smallmouth this time of year tend to be packed up in those deeper holes. And you can get on them pretty good. And once you find a couple, usually there's a few more, it's not one here, one there. Once you catch one, you want to spend some time there and, catch a bunch of his buddies.
I think a lot of people go after, they try to move the bait too fast and too quick. They try to cast out, get it back in and cast it out again. And I think when you come to the smallmouth fishing in that cold water, it's almost boring because you got to almost like suspending jerkbaits. Snap it a couple times and leave it set for 5-10 seconds even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, from a river standpoint, you've got the current to help you. So you got to keep in mind that a little snap on the jerkbait and letting it pause, that thing's kind of naturally drifting, looking like it's dying. And those fish are watching it. And, you can see it if you use forward facing or even just by noticing when you get your bites. I like to count out in seconds, just to keep my mind busy. I'll count 1 Mississippi and so on. And a lot of times I get that bite at that 5-6 second mark.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, one time I was fishing and I caught in one little tiny hole. I caught 3 over 20 inches in 3 casts, but it was all on a 5, 6, 7 second pause that they hit. Like it was a husky jerk, is what it was.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good tactic. But that kind of goes for even if you're fishing hair jigs or plastics or whatever it is. Cold water definitely means move it slow, small hops with your rod tip, and giving those fish plenty of time to think about it.
I would imagine a Ned rig would probably be good in this cold water too.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the kind of the natural colored Ned rigs on as light of a head as I can get away with, and doing a lot of dragging it real slow and just really tempting those smallmouth to bite.
Well, let's talk about some other fish. I mean, as we get to the end of the month here, we'll have the steelhead season open up on the South Shore streams, and that's another opportunity too, right?
Yeah, that's something I'm very excited for. We always go up and fish the opener on the Brule or some of the other rivers up there, the smaller ones. And it's a lot of fun getting into those lake run fish. They fight hard, they're big, and it's a great tradition and a lot of fun to go do.
Yeah, anybody that hasn't done that yet, what kind of tips can you give them as far as the gear, the equipment, the rod reel, and the bait and presentation?
Well, one thing that I focus on is I try to do a lot of walking. Most of what you're doing in those kind of fisheries is fishing with waders. I like to fish a spot, fish it thoroughly, but not camp out in it all day. And keep moving, keep covering water. The more miles you put on your boots, the more trout you're going to catch.
What type of presentation are you using usually?
I do a lot of bobber fishing. So a medium-sized bobber, something a lot like a slip bobber you'd use for a walleye, and a few split shot below it, a single hook, usually like a size 4 octopus hook. And then you can either put a night crawler on it, a spawn sack, a pegged bead, a yarn fly. You can use just about anything, even a little, like a crappie jig that you'd use for catching crappies in the spring.
What do? You cast it upstream from where you think they're going to be laying and let it drift down to them, or what?
Yeah, so I kind of position my body perpendicular to the river, perpendicular to the flow, cast up to my upstream side at a 45-degree angle, let that thing drift all the way down until it's at about a 45-degree angle below me, and then recast. And I try to not make the same cast more than once. I try to kind of start close and work my way across the river systematically to cover the whole area.
I know you do a lot of that trout and salmon and brown trout fishing too. And speaking of that, we were talking rivers here and streams like the Brule, but as soon as we get some open water available, which is usually sometime in April, a lot of the guides I know around here actually head up there with their boats too, and they can get in Lake Superior and have some pretty good trolling for fish.
Yeah, that's, the coho and brown trout, even splake, can be really good around Schwamigan Bay or on the South Shore, Saxon Harbor, all those places. And it's a very simple thing to do. It's a lot of trolling. You can cast them. But a lot of people are just trolling shallow diving stick baits like that husky jerk you mentioned earlier, and bright colors and catching a lot of trout, and they're great eating fish.
And it's not, you're not using a bunch of equipment like downriggers and all that stuff. You're fishing pretty shallow.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of it. You don't need a ton of unique gear. You can get by with basically what you troll for walleyes with. And to be honest, when I started doing it as a kid in high school, I was just bringing a spinning rod. I didn't have rod holders. I didn't have anything. Take a spinning rod, I'd cast it as far as I could behind the boat and drag it around. And obviously you don't catch as many that way as you do with a lot of lines, but we still caught fish.
Yeah, great information there for people out there, Kyle. We're talking about anybody's looking for you as a guide or information on following what you do. How do they find that?
You can find me on Facebook, Kyle Sorensen, or Sorensen Outdoors LLC. I got a website, SorensenOutdoors.com, or give me a call at 715-558-8911.
Well, thank you greatly for taking the time here, Kyle.
Thank you.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, you can always go to our website at wnoradio.com, and from there you can link through to our podcast. You can also find the show on Spotify and all major podcast channels. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com or the Hayward Area Chamber site at haywardareachamber.com. And lastly, if you'd like more information on hiring a fishing guide when you're up here in the Hayward area, check out our website at wnoradio.com. We've got links to just about all the different guides and a lot of information in there on guides. We're out of time for this week's show, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you. Thanks for listening.
Way up in the Northland where the recreation's great. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, sink in your easy chair. Come on along, listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.